Hey everyone, so in this video, I'm actually going to be going over a war against days after Rodeo. I know this video is coming to you guys a little late, it's just I had other pertinent content that I wanted to push out as soon as I could, so I hope you guys still enjoy the war matches, and guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more content and information. So we ended up taking a tower, which is solid. Dar was our biggest competition the other weekend during war. They ended up coming in first for our cross-regional war and Freak Show, so my faction ended up coming in second. So when fighting these tanky teams, this is where a lot of people would actually run an infection team against it, just because you can take out a lot of these characters by just a passive team. So this is where Mateo and a Wangfa would have been coming into play for some players, or now it'll be like the Traitor and Wangfa, for example. This type of team is just very tanky, and it's difficult to handle because Frost is of course a very tanky toon, and then when you add in both Bide and Payback, it can be very tricky for applying damage without killing your own team. So because I don't have a strong infection team or a strong bleed team, and even with a bleed team like Shiva can recover from all penalties, so unless you have trauma applied or some way to lock the character down, it can be very difficult. I've definitely been utilizing my Priya with attack up when impaired a lot. Just as I've mentioned in other videos, there are a ton of characters that have impair weapons on them now. So by using this attack up when impaired, especially on Priya, if she gets impaired on her first attack of her rush, it means that she'll get the attack boost on her second attack, including the double attacks, as well as the rampage damage, because it specifically affects their attack and not the overall damage of the character. I really find that when you're in matches, you need to be aware of how fast the meta can change, and if you're noticing a lot of specific toons on a defensive team that have a very specific mod set, weapon set, it might be a good idea to take another look at that. It could be a great idea that you could end up adapting for yourself. Now this team is a bit challenging. The Jackie lead had 4 of my toons confused, but I had 4 of them stunned. Now what I like is that even if I hit my own team, I'm still gaining AP, so I have a little bit of a competitive advantage against the enemy because I have AP and they don't. And in most cases, the more AP you have, the faster the match is going to go. This specific defensive team is kind of interesting because Jackie obviously gives a lot of HP to the team, Arav is there for damage, AJ is there to normalize a line, so that actually helps because it means Arav could potentially attack and kill a line that has a payback toon in it. And then in the last team you had Pete and Rick for a commander as well as 2 revivers. This team that I'm hitting now, very defensive team. A lot of the top teams are definitely going with tanky defenses at the moment, and I feel like that's going to be a continued trend, especially with the introduction of the Traitor. So far in this match, I've been hitting pretty decently. I'm not that fast as you see, like against some of these tanky defenses. I don't have the power that I need, the weapons, the characters really. Like my characters are decent, but there are definitely some better characters that I could utilize. And something that I've definitely noticed since getting the playtest account is that there are so many combinations and so many ways to make the game easier. Like, I am just kind of astounded at some of the combinations that you can make, and it's been a very interesting experience so far with being able to test things and bring you guys new content on toons that I've always wanted to have but never had the chance to. And in this match, Rosita's being kind of annoying. She's just such a tanky toon, and that Bide ability with all the extra HP that she has can be a huge problem, I find. Another defensive team that has a lot of offensive characters on it. Frost is there to help shield, of course. Princess is there to normalize. I shouldn't have attacked Priya that much. I triggered her basically. It did allow me to trigger my own Priya, but at the same time it's just not the same. I'm hoping that by using Priya again, which I was able to do, I was able to get more rampage and double attack. And because Priya was already commanded on the first turn for the enemy, it means I knew that she wasn't going to be able to rush on that second turn. So I really got lucky that my rampage damage was able to kill the other damage dealers on the team. And it was just Sadiq, Frost, and a commanded Priya that wasn't able to move this turn. This defensive team here, we see there's a Mateo, and Mateo has been interesting because if you can't control him on the first turn, your whole team is infected. And with this whole infection phase of the game, they're really trying to encourage you, well, Scopely's trying to encourage you to bring in a healer on your attack team, which of course slows down gameplay. The other option, which is what I'm trying to do, is get a fast healing weapon on my Dr. Stevens and hopefully get a team player weapon for a yellow toon, so then I can switch my command Glenn to someone like Maggie, who is also a healer, or even Nick, and then also have Dr. Stevens, of course, present. So by having a fast healing weapon, it would mean my team could be healing while still being an offensive team and not really sacrificing much. I might sacrifice 15% attack and plus 35 crit, but if it's to save my team so that I actually can win a match, it's definitely worth it. A lot of players in the game are going to have to adjust their strategy, or at least they're going to have to readjust how they end up attacking. With these new infection characters, so I mean Mateo and the Trader, they offer themselves like a unique kit that works very well for themselves. So like, for example, the Trader is never going to use a basic attack unless he's forced to, so he's taunted or confused, or something else triggers him, basically, so you charge his AP, because he's going to be constantly using his active skill. So you don't really need to focus on giving him AP on his weapon and stuff. You're expecting him to be a tank. And the way that Scopely has mentioned, the best way to beat him is with brute force. I also have some other notes and ideas that you could use against the Trader. So I guess I'll kind of just mention them throughout this video. So the Trader is a toon that is, of course, resilient to a bunch of different things. Like, it has a 50% resistance to everything. Or it can have immunity if you have 2 mods that are at least 50% resistant to, let's say, daze and stun. So now he can never be dazed and he can never be stunned. So that eliminates RNG, but also creates more RNG for the attacker. So if a Trader can resist all these different things, you need to focus on your own team. So that means like attack up, because the Trader is not going to block you for increasing your team's own attack. Sure, there are other toons who can do that, but if you can control them, you could have a plus 75% attack boost coming from either Alice, Blue Maggie. There's a few other toons that have high attack boosts, like even my Green Glenn gives plus 65% attack and defense when he rushes. I would also focus on using weapons for healing. So as I mentioned, like Dr. Stevens, get a fast healing weapon on him. If you have a yellow command toon as well and you get the same weapon, it's 10% healing per fast toon on your team to 2 teammates. So 1 weapon between 2 of the yellow characters means that every turn 2 characters are getting 20% HP. Now if you have 2 of those weapons, it means 4 characters are getting 20% HP each turn. And that's just with 2 yellow toons that have those fast healing weapons. And this is, of course, extremely effective if you're going against Mateo, if you're going against the Trader, because their infection is 15%, or it's 20% if you end up attacking the Trader and triggering his weapon. Other alternatives, I mentioned this in the video as well, you can use someone like Fast Command Maggie, because when she rushes, she can heal your teammates, so that can be extremely valuable. She's also a command toon and she's yellow, so she plays right in with that healing weapon. If you're going to end up rushing the Trader with someone like Priya, who can trigger his weapon, it's not a bad idea, only because his weapon is only going to end up triggering once on you. So even if you were infected 3 times, he might be dead at that point, but at least he's gone, and it's not like you're using 2 or 3 characters to attack and take the Trader down, and all of a sudden you have 3 characters that are infected. You can also adjust the order of your rushes. So if I have Maggie's rush and Priya's rush, I'm going to rush Priya on the Trader first, and then Maggie after, because Priya probably is going to become infected. But if I use Maggie right after, then she's being healed and the infection is already gone. So it's just some strategic planning that way, where order matters, basically. Another strategy that some players can use is running a human shield on attack. So for example, Frost would be a good idea, even as a 6-star, because if his rush ends up getting charged, when he rushes, he revives a teammate, I think with 50% of their HP, and he also provides 5 turns of healing at 30% for the whole team. So he's a great counter to a tune like Mateo, to a tune like the Trader, to a tune like any other tune really. And what's nice about using a human shield on attack is that the Trader, for example, will only be able to affect Frost because he's the one who's shielding your team. So every time that Frost becomes infected, you have other options to heal him. A great example is the defensive craft where at the start of each turn, you get 10% healing per each debuff on your tune. So this is a great weapon for Frost because infection is considered a debuff on your tune. And by using a human shield, oftentimes the defensive team has methods of like attack down, taunt, confuse. And if all of that is being stacked specifically on Frost, it means he's healing every single turn. So long as he doesn't have 100% heal reduction on him, he's going to be recovering HP consistently. Yes, you end up losing out on an attack slot, but for some players, it'll be the only way that they can get through some of these tanky defenses. Also, when the Trader is on a defensive team, his rush also gives him the ability to taunt enemies into him. And of course, if you're ended up taunted into him, you're going to be feeding yourself infection consistently. So one of the methods of avoiding that taunt is by using a focus attack tune. So a great example is like Ivanova or Aaron. So both of these tunes are free-to-play characters. One is in the season store and one is the war tune. By using their active skill on turn 2, it means your whole team cannot be affected by taunt or confuse for the duration of a focus. It also means you can attack around human shield characters. What you do need to watch out for is if someone uses, say, a Jackie lead, has the Trader behind them, as well as a tune like L. So I say L because L has a unique rush where she can actually remove focus from the enemy team and force them to attack her. And in the case of RTS, order matters. So if L ends up using her rush and removes focus from your team and taunts characters into her, if the Trader rushes after her, then his taunt will overwrite L's taunt, but your tunes will be forced to attack the Trader now because they're no longer focused. I believe there is only 1 or 2 other characters in the game that are able to remove focus from the enemy, which makes it a very unique ability. Another option when attacking the Trader is of course using like line damage rushes. Now you really want to focus on boosting your own attack, so Princess is a great example of this. Because her active skill taunts enemies into her, which works well with her weapon, which can give her extra attack, as well as her Berserker and overall power because she has 1000% damage on her rush, plus she has the trade advantage against red tunes. She is a great option to use against the Trader. You can sometimes get away with using her normalize ability on the Trader, but he still has a 50% chance to resist that normalize. If any of you guys have any other suggestions on how you fight the Trader, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. I'd be very interested to know what type of strategies you've kind of come up with. And just to go over my strategies, focus on your own team. So use attack up strategies, use weapons that can help heal your team. So that means possibly using yellow tunes with fast healing weapons. If you can rush the Trader with Priya, rush him because she is only going to be infected one time instead of multiple tunes being infected because you use all of them to attack him. Save healing rushes when you can to use after you rush a character like Priya on the Trader, or just use basic attacks because that way you're clearing the infection right away. Have a defensive craft weapon on a human shield if you want to run one just to help protect your team. And because infection counts as a debuff, your tune could be constantly healing themselves only by 10%, but usually by more because there's other debuffs that are sometimes applied to your human shield. So it's just kind of like a loop. As I mentioned, use high damage dealers who do line damage rushes, or someone like Mercer even, who can damage 3 tunes at once while also potentially applying stun to them. The issue might come when we actually get like a camo lead tune, so if a Trader or Mateo or anyone else ends up being underneath camouflage, then all these line damage rushes, area rushes, are active skills that affect multiple tunes and do damage. They will be less effective, but it also means you won't be giving away AP. Now, jumping back to this war, as you've seen, like I've been less successful as the war has gone on. Part of that's due to RNG, and some of it's just me not making always the right decisions. I am doing my best in war. Again, being a free-to-play player, it can be quite difficult at times because you obviously don't have as good weapons or tunes or mods, so you really have to do the best you can with what you have. I've been able to take more risks in this match because we do have a blue HP tower, so that works really well, especially if you're going against bide characters that deal 3,000 damage back at you if you hit their 2,000 trigger marker without killing them in the same move. So just different ways to be effective against these teams. The fast tower did help when I was running a Rov, but I usually don't run a Rov only because I don't have a blue-yellow tune leader like Carl or Harrison or even Zoo. And I feel like I would really need to run Princess and a Rov together because of Princess's normalize ability, which is really invaluable in the game. By just being able to basically disarm skills like Payback and Bide or Human Shields, it really gives you an opportunity to leverage the match in your favor. And with the recent changes made to the game regarding the trader being introduced and him just being an absolute tank, I am definitely going to be spending this week practicing against the trader a lot in order to figure out some more techniques and strategies to bring him down quickly. And I'll also be working on S-Class Dr. Stevens to put in my defense, just because I really want to get rid of that 100% heal reduction ability that Wangfa uses, that people will use in combination with the trader or Mateo. That is basically a death sentence to most teams because I don't see myself running 100% hero reduction mods when there are so many other things to mod against that the majority of the player base uses. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching and listening to my video. I hope you guys enjoyed the content.